Hey everybody, always good to come to you each and every week. Let me just start by saying this. I don't ever take the easy road. It's never been my way that I take the easy way, and I'm not going to start now. I choose to do this job because I honestly believe that together we can make a very real difference in the lives of Americans in our community and the lives of Americans across the country. And it's an important debate that we have to have each and every day about the issues that we're dealing with. And that's what it has to be, is a debate. We have to be involved together in this way. And I'll probably talk about our founders a little bit more later, but I honestly believe that there are situations where our founders would roll in their graves if they thought we were not debating some of these issues with fire and ferocity and passion inside of it. We don't always come down in the exact same place on the issues, but I can't ever imagine our founders wanting us to believe that we shouldn't go out there and debate the issues, that there are some issues that are faux pas and we should never talk about them again. And I think, as I said, I think they would roll in their graves if they thought that there were issues that we were treating in that way, that we were simply going to say there is no debate to be had here. You know, I see my mission today the same as the way that I saw my mission in the military. It's to keep our communities safe, to keep our country safe, to protect American lives. So in that, I believe that the House and the Senate and the President and our school leaders and law enforcement, we have to come together and take action to keep families safe. I know that we can do this. I believe that we will do this. Now, like most of you, I believe have heard over the last couple weeks, I've said this firmly. I believe that our schools, where our children go to learn, they have to be as safe as the halls of Congress that I walk through each and every day. This week we made some great progress by passing two bills that I've been pushing for, one of them called the Stop School Violence Act and the other one called the Securing Our Schools Act. And these two bills, they're bipartisan bills. They give schools the resources that they need to harden security. That's an important piece of this debate. It will also help to train students and teachers and law enforcement and local law enforcement how to identify and intervene early when signs of violence arise, and put in place FBI and Secret Service-based school threat assessment protocols to prevent school shootings before they ever happen. Because we have to be able to come out of this and say, not ever again, not one more time will our young people be affected in a school by what transpired in Parkland. That's what has to come out of this, no matter what happens. Now, these are some good first steps. We also need to make sure that our concerts are safe, that our nightclubs are safe, that our churches are safe, and any community area that we gather in are just as safe. We won't accomplish this without a comprehensive approach, which is why I won't let this be the end of the national efforts and the national debate. We need to fully examine what went wrong in the FBI, what went wrong at local state agencies and with the local law enforcement down there in Broward. Why were they paralyzed from executing an assault within the sheriff's office there? President Trump has announced that he will have a task force to look at school security, and in Congress we are continuing to work on efforts to address gun violence. So I want to talk about one of the bills that I've brought up. A lot of people have found this to be incredibly controversial. That's why I want to talk about it. I introduced a bipartisan piece of legislation. This is something that, since the shooting had occurred, I had been calling on the president to look at this as a possible way through what we were going here. I've called for a 60-day pause on the sale of those firearms that were used by Nikolas Cruz in Parkland, the firearms that were used by Stephen Paddock in Las Vegas, Nevada, the firearms that were used by Omar Mateen in Orlando, Florida, gas-operated, semi-automatic firearms with a rifled bore, to have a pause on the sale of these until Congress can get a report from the ATF on a great number of things, from the lethality of certain firearms, which is something that we absolutely look at. When you look at the National Firearms Act and the fact that right now you can't just go purchase off the shelf a fully automatic firearm, that you have, there's a certain tax that's associated with that, licenses and permits in order to get those things. We look at this, and I really find as I've had this debate with a lot of people, and a lot of us that are really, we've debated intensely, which is what I appreciate about this. I don't expect us to all come down at the exact same side of this issue, but we have to have this fiery debate inside of us in order to get to the right place. The president has said he's willing to move the line. The governor of the state of Florida, Governor Rick Scott, has already acted with legislation, and the Florida legislature has acted saying they're going to move the line based on age, based on background checks, based on bump stocks. They're acknowledging this as a line that needs to be looked at. And that's what that bill that I have brought here in Congress is all about, saying there are a lot of things that need to be examined. We need to examine what's going on in the hardening of security in schools. We need to examine what are the actions that are going to be taken with the FBI in terms of those failures in weeding people out, whether it was Omar Mateen, whether it was Nicholas Cruz, whether it was other incidents that have been involved in terms of terrorism. What went on with the state agencies where they looked at this young man numerous times, this repulsive individual, something like 39 times, and came away with the impression that he wasn't going to be a danger to other people. What's going to happen with those systems? Right now, nobody has faith that we're not selling to the next version of that, the next psycho like one of these people. Nobody has faith that we're not selling to the next person. And so that's what this bill is all about. While we're sorting through all of these things that need to be looked at, let's not do nothing. Let's not have it be the case that we sold to the next psycho because we weren't putting some sort of pause on this while we were looking at all of these issues. So let's be clear about what this bill is and what this bill is not. This bill does not prohibit the sale of shotguns that are used for hunting or hunting rifles, a 30-06 bolt-action deer rifle like I would use. It does not prohibit the sale of handguns like the one that I typically conceal and carry. I normally conceal and carry my Glock 9mm. The goal is simply to ensure that the next Nicholas Cruz, the next Stephen Paddock, the next Omar Mateen is not able to purchase their tool of choice to commit mass murder while we continue to work towards long-term solutions in this debate on all of the fronts that this debate has to be had. The second bill that I introduced is called the Behavioral Detection and Training Act. This bill would assist firearms dealers who are federally licensed by giving them better tools to detect suspicious behavior and giving them the tools that they can have so that they can reduce discriminatory actions against law-abiding citizens and gun owners. We don't want discriminatory actions. Right now, firearms sellers have broad discretion to refuse sales to potential customers acting suspiciously. In our own community, one of our companies right there, Lotus Guns, they acted on that. They've had suspicious people come into their facility. Omar Mateen was one of them, and they acted on that and didn't sell that individual. There's been very specific cases where people in our community recognized that somebody was going to be a threat, and they took that as an opportunity to say, nah, this isn't right, and we're going to act on that. But training on recognizing the type of behavior is not required in the licensing process. So what this bill would do is it would give those firearm salesperson the database training to make informed decisions. Something that they can do beyond saying, hey, the hairs are standing up on the back of my neck or the hairs are standing up on my arm. This is actually metrics to say, yeah, there is something wrong with this situation, with this individual, with what's going on here, and I'm not going to sell that person a firearm. They're going to have that. They have that discretion already. It's giving them another tool in their toolkit to act accordingly. The bottom line is this, that this is about saving lives. This is about saving lives. We need more security. We need to fix the flaws in our agencies. We need to fix the issues with local law enforcement and the mental health issues that are plaguing our society. The fact that somebody can be Baker acted in the state of Florida saying that they want to kill other people. Their firearms can be surrendered to our sheriff's office, but then the sheriff's office are forced to return those firearms immediately, otherwise they're going to be sued. This is literally what happens. That cannot be the system. That's something that we have to work through. Problems with reporting in the background check system. This is something that we have to look at. How are these background checks failing? Issues at the state agencies, improvements in our schools and with our school resource officers. We have to look at all of this. And right now, nobody that I've come in contact with, and I mean that quite literally, not Republicans, not Democrats, not independents, have told me that they have any faith in the system working to weed out that next psycho, that next psychotic, deranged killer. So let's pause. And let's take a look at where we draw the line on lethality in our society, what we're going to do to protect our communities, what we have to do to fix the background check system, whether somebody's on a terrorist watch list or whether they've been Baker Acted or something else. Let's fix this system and let's not do nothing in the meantime. Unfortunately, far too often politics get in the way of bills like this and nothing gets done. So let's vote on what we agree on and let's do something. Because not being able to solve every problem should not prevent us from making progress on the issues that we know we can. We know we can do things one step at a time. Let's do it that way. So let's do the hard problem solving needed to get the job done, and let's save lives. Again, I don't believe that all of us are going to come down in the exact same place on these debates. But let's not be in a position where we think that there are some subjects that are so faux pas that we shouldn't be having the debate, that we shouldn't be arguing fiercely. I believe that we should. I've made statements on this. Many of you have made statements on this. And we need to get together. We need to argue it out as fiercely as possible, because that's how we get to the right place. That's how our founders debated these issues. When you look back to the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, half the people wanting a Bill of Rights, half the people not wanting a Bill of Rights, and the way that they argued fiercely over these things, that's what I find is missing here in Washington, D.C. And I mean that sincerely. It's missing here. I tell people sometimes one of the most common things that you see in Washington when you see people out on the floor of the House of Representatives is the top of their head. The reason that you see the top of their head is because they're looking down and they're reading a script that somebody wrote for them. They're not looking up at you and giving you their true thoughts. And they're not debating from their heart and with their own personal experiences about how they really believe about things. They're reading a script that was politically tested and gone through their staff to make sure that there's nothing wrong that they're going to say in those words that come out there. That's not who we are, and that's not the way that we owe it to every American person to debate here in the halls of Congress. We owe them the kind of debate that occurred when our country was founded. That's the kind of debate that I'm willing to have. So like I said, I know we're not going to all agree on this, but I hope we can agree that we should be out there arguing about this in the most fierce kind of way so that we do get to the right place on these issues. I'm committed to doing that. I hope you have those arguments with me. As always, it is an honor to serve you here in the House of Representatives, and I absolutely mean that. It is an honor every single day to serve you here in the House. I look forward to seeing you all around back home this weekend. I look forward to talking to you all around back home this weekend, and I look forward to having those important conversations. Wish you all the best.